Good evening, folks. We are live once again. Let's get everything loaded up and switched over, and we'll jump back into the Dyson Sphere Program. Alright, we got video. No sound at the moment. Let me turn on the background music. We're running the BGM playlist again. Hey, Iconic's here. What's up, Iconic? How are you doing today? Good to see you as usual. Alright, let me reload the save, and we will pick up where we left off, more or less. What I think the game does, I can't confirm this, but I think the things we're seeing, I can't see my cursor, but this is the loading screen for the game when you start up. I think it's pulling in people's build constructions that are playing the game, since it collects data based on what you do. So I think we're seeing other people's Dyson spheres, which is going to give you kind of an indication of where we're headed as far as the game goes. But it'll be a hot minute before we get there. Conic says, I'm well, thanks. How are you? Oh, I'm doing all right. It's been kind of a busy week, as we saw. Yesterday, I had to cancel the stream just because I was working on some stuff late. I think I mentioned this a while back, but in October, something significant changed at my job. So it's a little unpredictable at the moment, but it should even out eventually. It just kind of sucks when I have to change streaming plans. But I think it'll settle eventually. Okay. So picking back up where we left off in Dyson Sphere Program, I have done a bit of renovation on the base here. I haven't made any progress and gone up the tech tree since I want to do that on stream. But if you remember where we sort of started in last session, we built out where my mech is kind of walking around here. And this main section-ish was where we sort of started putting things together, and we started researching tech using the Blue Research. What I've done offline is I have filled in a lot of the water. We were pretty much bordered by water everywhere. But if we take just a quick run around the perimeter of the base, you can see the little faint squares are our foundation that was filled in all the water. I have given us a lot more area to work with. And so now, the main focus of today is going to be building out the base, working on automation for a bunch of things, and starting to make more progress up the tree. I kind of say, as it happens, IRL stuff always comes first. Yeah, there's not much I can do about the work, but like I said, especially as we get closer to the holidays, I think it'll balance out. I appreciate everybody's patience. So what have we done here? There is another site that is actually I'll show this off first. I set up some power for this alternate site just south, I guess, of the base. And we've got some things that are refining iron ingots, copper ingots, and gears. And we're going to need to feed that stuff over here to what's called a mall. I think I talked a bit about this before. This is a way to centralize your automation so that you can have it start manufacturing things that you need. And it's called a mall because you have all the stuff set to automate and then dump into storage, so that rather than crafting from your inventory every time for stuff that you need, you can use the mall to basically streamline that and have it doing that constantly in the background while you work on the stuff that matters. And so I put down a setup for the first and second parts of this basic mall that I got online from another YouTuber who plays this game. And it's worked pretty well on the saves that I've done, so I'm going to use it here. And as we kind of proceed, if we find ways to fine-tune things, we can definitely do that. But you could see our belts, conveyor belts, which move stuff around, our sorters, which actually physically transport things to and from a location, mining machines, smelters, assemblers, power poles, wind turbines. Was it thermal machine? Is that what that's called? Thermal power plant. This is the splitter. Storage and water pump. So basically the way this automation works, for folks who've never seen this before, if we zoom in a bit, we can see the different input belts or intake, and each of these symbols is set up in the blueprint to show you here's what you need to connect in order to run that resource to the respective machine that's pulling that in, manufacturing the respective part. And so this particular blueprint does that in a nice sort of compact, somewhat aesthetically pleasing manner, better than I can do. And so we need gears, semiconductors, or circuit boards rather. Semiconductors will be later. Circuit boards, magnetic coils, stone brick, iron ingots. For this first line, in order to get all of these things automatically producing, we need to feed in each of these resources to this point. And then it'll automatically start assembly line style crafting each of these things and dumping them in storage for us to use. So the first priority is going to be running our existing resources to the points that we have here. And so I think what I'm going to do is run from our magnetic coil site that we built last time up here. We're going to run this down, connect it to the main mall site. Same thing with the circuit boards. And then we're going to go down to the second manufacturing site and run stuff north up this way. We're going to have kind of a maze of belts because all the stuff is spread out and it's not kind of compact in one area. But that's fine. The belts can sort of crisscross around each other and it'll be okay. And last time it was, I believe it was TFG who joined us. A person who's played this a lot more than me was giving me some good pointers on how to take advantage of some of the tech that I didn't know about. And one thing they mentioned was taking a splitter, which is the 4-way belt splitter, and sticking a storage box on top, and it'll automatically feed in the overflow and give us stuff on demand if we need to grab it, instead of having to pick it up directly off the belts. And I've started doing that all over the base where I had things feeding in raw resources. And so you'll see that. Splitters with crates on top all over the place. And it's definitely something that I think makes things a lot more efficient. And speak of the devil, TFG's here and says, that guy sounds like he has an idea of what he's doing. I believe he said like 3,000 hours in the game, TFG. So I definitely trust your knowledge. Also welcome. I was just telling everybody that we've got sort of a centralized mall production thing I want to get running here. And then from there, once we have everything sort of being funneled into the central site, I'm going to start setting up a dedicated research area. And our next goal is red research. If we look at our tech tree, I think we've hit everything. Oh, not everything. Most of the keys in research points that are blue only. There's a few left I got to do. But I tore down what we made last time because I'm going to be rebuilding it in a bit more of an efficient manner today. But we need to get through these next couple tiers of research, and hopefully, fingers crossed, if we do this efficiently, hopefully we can get off planet today. I think that'd be really cool to show everybody and start working on getting things on a planet, interplanetary level. TFG says, cool, you got this. I'm going to be in and out making dinner. All right. Well, enjoy your dinner. What we're focusing on first is just running a lot of resources to and from our sites here and connecting it. Let's go this way. So this belt, we need to connect circuit boards. And I connected them in the wrong order. It doesn't really matter for this particular section. It's backwards. I connected the coils to the belt that has the icon for circuit boards. They're flipped. I could reverse it if it really bothered people that much, but it's fine. What matters is that we got the input. It doesn't really matter what order. So now these are feeding the required resource, and now we need gears. We'll do them in order. So gears, I'm going to have to probably cross over 2 belts and maybe wrap around. But it's going to run pretty... Actually, I think I need to make more belts in a sec. We're going to need to run all the way from the remote site eventually, and this will be something that'll be kind of interesting to show people later. Eventually, when we start researching some more advanced technology, we will negate the need to have these kind of chaotic belts running to and from all the different sites. We'll be able to traffic things using drones, and that's pretty fun. Once you get the ability to have logistic drone tech, it allows you to move stuff around your sites a lot easier, and that leads to your ability to get things between planets. And eventually, in the later game, you get intergalactic levels of transportation capability, warping things between systems, not just planets. So that's our end goal for the whole logistics aspects. You're going to hear me use that word a lot because a lot of Dyson Sphere Program's core gameplay involves optimization of logistics. So we start with the micro, but eventually we're going to go towards macro. Let's do this. I'll show off the ability to put belts in the air. One thing that I know Factorio doesn't do, and I might have shown this off a bit last time, but you can lift the belts pretty high in the air, a lot, maybe 2 or 3 ticks higher than this, and you can get them over things. So you can layer stuff, which is not something I'm super good at yet, but it allows you to basically have verticality to your base building, which can definitely come in handy if you need to have a bunch of things running to simultaneous locations and you don't want to get cluttered. But for now, it doesn't need to be super pretty. I kind of ran this pattern because we're going to need to run other things underneath. Otherwise, I would just go all the way around the perimeter, but that should be fine. And now that it's daytime, you can see how I've built out the main site. Lots of foundation. I did a decent amount of soil pile farming in order to get the stuff to fill in. TFG asks, you don't like diagonal belts? I think it's a Factorio habit. I forget that you can even do that in this game with belts, but I'll probably fiddle around with it more once we have kind of a more well built out base. Let's see. What button allows you to change the angle? Is it Shift? R. Oh, okay. I see. I see. Okay, just like when you're spinning structures. I see. We got a follow from Yukitaka EN VTuber, thank you for the follow. Much appreciated. Welcome to the Space Bees. I hope you enjoy your stay. Oh, I see. So basically hitting R allows you to unlock. Okay, all right. Yeah, I'll mess around with that a bit more. For now, I want everything kind of feeding where it needs to feed, and then we'll worry about the aesthetics in a little bit. Okay, so we're going to run stone brick down here. Sure, we can do this. Kind of experiment around. We'll save belts, too, to not always be going at right angles as well. TFG says, I use it more just to reduce the number of belts I have to use over long distances. Yeah, that makes sense. Since we're going to be running some things all the way up from the south end, I think I'll definitely take advantage of that here. Like, to your point, not that I'm going to fix it now because it's not that big a deal, but we could just run an angle from down here and split all the way across, and it saves all those belts. I won't worry about it for that one. We'll do it on the next one. TFG says, isn't super useful if you have a ton of belts. Yeah, I could see that. I was telling folks that in the short term, we're basically going to be doing kind of like a spaghetti base. And then I think what I want to do, which I didn't do on my last save, the one that I've made the most progress on, I think once we have enough resources to go interplanetary or intersystem, I'm probably not going to go super high up into the tech tree here, you know, into the end game Dyson Sphere construction. I think I'm going to basically get as far as I need to efficiently get to another better system, get a bunch of supplies, and then go start a brand new base in another system and have that be the dedicated site that we're going to try and get up the tech tree in. In my last save, I spent a lot of time on my first planet just trying to learn, since it was my first time going all the way up the tree. But now that I kind of know the progress, once we get to the point where we can leave, I think I'd rather do that. And then we'll find a more permanent setup that we can operate out of. Okay, now we're running iron ingots, and I gotta be careful because there's an oil site here that I was going to use, and I still might, to start oil production. That's next. Once we get them all running, we need to start doing oil manufacturing. And that I might be picking TFG's brain on tips for, since until I get that X-ray cracking tech upgrade, I still have not figured out a good early game solution for not being short on hydrogen. I ran into that problem on my last save. That's the resource I was the most strapped for the majority of the playthrough. We are orbiting a gas giant here, though, so there is that. Whoa. Oh, I put it over here. Yeah. Graphite is better than coal for fuel. TFG says, early game, hydrogen's a pain. But yeah, X-ray cracking is the way to go. Plenty of other methods out there. Yeah, that interesting cyclical blueprint that I showed off on my other save last time works really well. It does draw a decent amount of power, though. So by the time I started putting in place, I actually did have solar sails up and orbiting the Dyson Swarm. That's what it's called. So I'll have to take a look and see when we eventually get there. But that was a bit of an issue for a while. Okay, we need to run ingots up this way. And this is the last component we need to start feeding in. And first part of the mall here will start producing all these different structures. And belt limit's okay. We're gonna need a lot of belts. We'll go through a ton of those. Sorters, we'll up it by 3. This one, the mining machines, we'll leave that there. Smelters, gonna go through a ton of smelters. The reason why you cap the storage is so that it doesn't just build all the way to the full set of stacks and drain your resources, since not all these are really necessary to be full up all the time. Assemblers, we're going to need a lot of assemblers. Poles, we'll do 2, 3, 2. Wind turbines, I'll do 3. It'll be nice to be able to grab these in large quantities when we start setting up on other planets. Same thing with storage. This last one requires some things we don't have yet, which is weird that it was included here since there's no base input belt for it. This is water pumps. We will need that eventually. Okay, so the top part. What's this one missing? Okay. Not a perfect blueprint. That sorter is not in the right spot. I think the rest of these are okay. Is this one missing too? I don't remember that being a problem. It's fine. So it needs coils. This one also needs coils. Oh, I wonder if I accidentally changed something on here. Maybe I accidentally edited the blueprint at some point. It's possible. It's fine. We'll make sure these things are making what they need to make. There we go. And you fix you. So now, whenever we need these items, we can come and grab them out the chests here. And it's one less thing to have to craft by hand right out of the inventory. Now down here, we have the same setup for a different set of buildings and items. The first one is the engines. I was thinking a bit about this since I used this setup before just to kind of kickstart everything on my last save. I guess we'll run what we can here since I have stuff crafting all of these. I'll be fine. The setup gives us engines. These traffic monitors. I'll take that off. I never use these items. I don't really know what they're for other than looking at your quantities on belts. It's probably for optimization. I've never used these, so I think I'll just take it off. If I needed to make them, I can just make them outright. But these other two, science labs and the fluid storage, we're definitely going to need. So we need to run bricks and ingots. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to split the belt. Oh. You can't rotate on an angle with buildings like this one, can you? It's just 90 degrees, I think. So you can't spin the splitters to be at an angle to match the belts, I'm going to assume. I'm sure TFG will correct me if I'm wrong. But for now, we'll do this. It's fine. I'm going to run a path here, splitting the supply line up to this point. And we could do the same thing down here. I forgot that I need to run another belt source here. But that's fine. I just have to alter the path a little and then run it through here. And then down here, on the second belt, we need circuit boards. And the third one, coils. Iconic says many a belts. Yeah, you can imagine if you continue to build out complexity for the bases, it can get to the point where there's belts running all over the place. In Factorial, they called them spaghetti bases just because they look like spaghetti everywhere. But we'll see how the optimization of the logistics tech gives you some really cool tools to make it so that your bases don't look like this. Like, you could totally run the entire game this way, but the tech allows you to kind of change things up as you go, which we'll see later. Okay, we're going to split here. I think normally we wouldn't be splitting a lot of our sources just because it cuts down on the effectiveness of production. But these malls are set to basically construct set quantities, so they won't be running constantly forever. Oh. Let's have everything overlapping and crisscrossing for now. Now for the circuits, I want to run another path out of this one, but it's going to get a little bit messy. Okay, let's try it. Oh, that might work. Oh, okay. Not quite. Let's see. I was thinking maybe I could cut all the way across, but that might be a little difficult. Let's see if we can make some room. I guess we can move this. This doesn't need to stay right there. Come on. Okay. Oh, that's weird. I wonder why it won't let me run under that now. Alright. I'll figure that out later. I think it's going to do the same thing. I wonder if that's a... Huh, I wonder if that's a glitch. It's almost like it doesn't see the height as being high enough. It's okay. We can run it this way. Admittedly, I'm not the best at manipulating the belts. But again, we'll be optimizing that setup later anyway. So it doesn't really matter at the moment. I'm sure the belt enthusiast builders in this game look at this and have an aneurysm, but it's okay. We go for function first, then we go for aesthetics. Okay, now we've got circuit boards running. Now we need coils. Likewise, maybe we can run from here all the way around. And this is elevated, so we can just loop all the way under. Alright, it's going to look pretty ugly, but that's okay. So show off kind of the height we can get with the belts. Run over here, and then we run directly under. Boy, I miss having the drone speed upgrades you get later. It improves the distance and also the speed at which your little robots construct things, and just, they zip around. Until we get there, we're kind of at the mercy of the early game. Alright, so with the belt abomination I've set up here, you can see how the belts are now being shuttled, or shuttling the coils over everything to wrap around here. I guess technically I could have gone diagonal. Can you? I guess you can do ascending belts diagonally too. I should probably get in the habit of doing that as well. Alright, then the last line we need is glass. And we're going to need this for a couple things, but for now we'll run it down here. Let's have it hop over everything. And we'll have it dump right here on the bottom. And that should give us our fluid storage. And it'll also give us our matrix lab, our research facility. Now for you, I didn't do this right. There we go. Yeah, that's fine. I think that was where we left it before. Now we put a crate on top. And now this will start accumulating some of these engines, which we'll need for later. Or electric motors. Ultimately, we'll have a site kind of set up to build these things specifically. But in case we need them to craft stuff, they'll just be here for now. We're going to need a lot of these motors. Alright, mall's up and running. Part A's up and running. Part B's up and running. So let's take a look at our goal, immediate goal here. Where is the next matrix upgrade down here? So we do need an energy matrix, or red research. You'll probably hear me call that. So I guess the first thing we need to do is reset up our dedicated research site, since I tore down what we had before, which means we're going to need the materials that construct the blue cubes and have that being shipped off to a site to be used, because we had it all clustered in our base before. So the real question is, it's coil and board. Now I'm going to assume for efficiency purposes that if we try and split off more from our site up here, it's basically going to get tapped out, since the mall is using both of those components. So instead, I think what makes more sense is to find another site to build those pieces of things respectively, and then have them dedicated to whatever research site instead of splitting it off of something else. Now, where is the question? Ideally, if we had 2 mineral sites close together like we had directly up here north. And this is north. That would be ideal. But the next closest spot looks like it's down here. It's a bit far away. All right. Let's explore our options here. Could throw another mining machine on here and run parts of the coil, the magnets, this way, and then maybe split off some of the copper since we're only using a bit of the copper here. We're not using any of the copper. Nah, that might be the best idea here. Then we'd need to figure out circuit boards, which is both of these. Okay, one thing at a time. I think we'll run this up parallel to everything. And we're going to start throwing down smelters. Smelters will take the iron ore, turn it into magnets. Think, what is it? 1 to 1? Okay, so I'll do 6 to start. I guess we could try and put it directly alongside. I'm trying to think of which way I want the belts to go. I guess we can go up this way. I have been working on making it a habit of shift clicking and copying my stuff. I mostly train my brain to do it almost every time, so I'm getting better. But you'll catch me having to stop and force myself to do it every once in a while. Now here's a question that maybe TFG can answer. I've been wondering about this for a while. With the terrain... Okay, I think that answers my question. When the terrain does this sort of hitch in it, it's because of the vertical terrain going... What, latitude? The grid lines is what causes that, right? So if you're going perpendicular, then you never run into that problem. Yeah, so basically what he's saying is if we go horizontally instead of vertically, when the grid lines change, it won't do that. I was wondering about that. That makes sense. All right, we're going to go perpendicular. Oh, I see. Horizontally, the grid never changes. It only changes vertically. Did not know that. You'd think after seeing that happen enough times, I would have figured out that's why I was doing that, but I didn't really bother to think about it that hard. Okay, so I think I'll do the magnets, and then I will run the coils maybe directly above if I've got room. Let's find out. TFG says, all right, got to clean up the kitchen if you're good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good, man. Go take care of what you need to. I think I more or less know where I need to go as far as the early game, since I've done it several times now. It's mostly efficiency, so if you get a chance to pop back on later and you can tell me what I'm doing wrong, I will definitely listen. Okay, let's go 6. What's our ratio? Need to pay more attention to ratios. 2 to 1, so we need twice as many coils as we do ingots. Okay, let's see. Actually, maybe I should have run it the other way. That's fine. We'll take the copper. We're going to run it directly downwards. Bet we can run it at an angle. I think what I want to do is run it all the way down this way. And then I'm going to throw the assemblers on the tail end running further out to the left. We're going to go grab more belts in a bit. And I think I'm going to put my research site... Maybe right here. You can see this big open space. I need to be careful because of the coal veins and stone up here, but I'm going to need this coal to make graphite, which goes into the red research. So it's actually good that we're moving in this direction, since we're going to need to have those resources pushing stuff to the matrix labs. Which will go this way. Well, everything moving to the right. And this one right here is going to take all these things and start spitting out magnetic coils. It's our ratio 1 to 1. It is 1 to 1. Okay. I'm going to put 5 over here for now. Now we need to run circuit boards. Maybe we can run them from up here and then have the belt pass everything down. We want it to run alongside this one, so that's what's going to go into the blue research. And I see I got another follow from Zoli Triple X. Zoli, is that how you say your name? Please correct me if I'm saying it wrong. But thank you for the follow, and welcome to the Space Bees. Okay, I'm just sort of thinking about what makes the most sense, since circuit boards are iron ingots, copper ingots. We have that right here. My worry is if we split off another source from here, it's very likely going to tap out, since we only have 6 things producing the iron ingots. So instead, maybe we do it like this. I think we can run more of the copper, since we only have one source coming out, this diagonal belt. We can run copper, and then we need to figure out another source for the iron, I think, that's not coming from up here. So we'll path all the way down here, and then we'll go parallel. I'm going to go grab more belts. And it's a good opportunity to show off why having a mall set up like this is convenient. So now when I run out of belts, I don't have to go and craft more out of my inventory. I just go right here and grab them from the crate. Same for all the other stuff here. I'm going to need to organize my inventory. I know it looks like garbage. I will fix that in a minute. I just have stuff strewn everywhere. In fact, let's do... I've been using this thing here as sort of a dump chest. We'll throw a bunch of these stray materials I'm not actively using, just unclutter. Get everything out. It's a little better. I do need to be a little mindful of energy consumption. Flying will zip us around pretty quickly, but it will absolutely murder our energy supply. Alright, so this area here is going to be another set of assemblers that's going to make the circuit boards, the other component we need for the blue science. But we need to get iron over here. I could add another mining thing here, but it's going to deplete this one much faster. Where else can we go? Not too many options nearby. We could... Okay. This thing here in the middle, let's repurpose that. We don't need that single thing producing gears anymore. In fact, Might be able to rearrange things in a bit better setup here. Yeah, I think we can do this. We can actually put 2 more here, and we can run more supply of iron to wherever we need it, really. Problem is, it's very far away. What I'm thinking, it's not going to look super nice aesthetically, but if we run 2 mining belts and have them merged, maybe I take the entire source and we wrap it around the perimeter so we're not cutting directly through. And then we have it spit out up here. In fact, we can cut across. It's basically going to look like a bunch of zigzags, but I think that'll work. Hey, TFG's back. Hope you had a good dinner. Good dinner. Ah, I see. TFG says I have about an hour before I meet up with some people. All right. Well, like I always tell folks, don't feel like you have to stick around and be here on the stream just because I'm streaming. But I will definitely take advantage of your counsel until you gotta go. I'm repurposing these clusters of iron here so that I can run a supply all the way up to the other side of the base so I can make some circuit boards. Here's a question from the efficiency side. I was wondering, is there any advantage to using the splitter to merge belts? Like, does it do it more efficiently than if you just have either 2 separate belt sources or just have them intersecting, with one feeding in the other? Like, does the splitter make it more efficient or does it matter? So what I mean is, I've got 2 sources for iron here. If I wanted to have both of these feeding into some ingots, like, let's say I wanted to have more smelters doing ingots, would it make more sense to have these belts combining or having 2 separate belts running to their own set of smelters? If that makes sense. Let me know if I'm not explaining what I'm asking. Because I assume it affects the ratio of how much it's consuming if you have multiple sources feeding in. But is that more or less effective than just having each belt feed to its own set of smelters? Okay, doesn't really matter. Okay. Because what I was thinking is having these 2 combined just because I'm a little short on space. And then just having like maybe 10 or 12, if I have enough room, of the smelters running kind of perpendicular and then feeding their output all the way up north. So I guess we can just try it and see. So let's have these combine here. Mark 1 belt can handle something like 6 smelters. Okay, so if I wanted to go more than 6, then I probably want to run a separate line. Otherwise, it'll just get outpaced. Okay. That does answer my question. Okay, we're a little bit a ways away from upgrading everything to Mark II belts, so for now, it's fine. It's probably not super critical here anyway. We'll just see how many we can fit, and then we'll run it up. I think it'll be fine. We're only making circuit boards. This is solely dedicated to circuit boards for the blue cubes, so I don't think it's really that big a deal. Ah, was one too short. TFG says, there is a detail you might want to know regarding merging belts and splitters, though. I'm all ears. In merging belts, the intersecting belt will only feed when there's enough space on the through belt. Yeah, I do know that from experience. So what he's saying is, if you have the belts merging here, then it's only going to drop the cargo when there's a break in the chain here. So if I run it up now when it's pretty much full, it'll just sit there. It won't do anything. But a splitter takes evenly from both. Okay. All right. So obviously there'll be an instance where it makes more sense to use a splitter to not have everything backing up. I don't think we can squeak by. We'll do that. I put them on backwards. I put them on backwards. Whoops. Yeah. I'm just looking at the paste thing. Does it tell me which direction it's going? Okay, that's correct. TFG says giving smelters rings. Wonder what that makes. Good question. Good question. Oh. You're right. That's why I had it one below. Never mind the fact that I put him on upside down. Have him pulling directly off of the rings. Well, we'll do absolutely nothing. You were just going to let me sit there and figure out why it wasn't working, huh? Okay. Now I might not have enough room to turn the corner. That's a little annoying. That'll work. Let's do it this way. I'll copy this one. Then we'll have to worry about spinning them in the right direction. And I think from here we're going to have to go around the mineral cluster. Like, I could bury this if I wanted to, but I'll leave it since we need the copper over there. So we'll put 5. I think 5 is probably... I do that a lot. I'll accidentally delete something unintentionally. Now I can run this. Originally, I was thinking of just looping around to not cut directly through the base, and then I remember I could just loft these like really high and then go over everything, and then it won't matter. Let's see how high it goes. The answer is very high. Okay, that might be a little too high. Looks like a roller coaster. It's fine. Actually, that's gonna just burn more belts and take too long. Let's drop it down a little. It just needs to clear the buildings. It is a neat feature, though. I was telling everyone how Factorio doesn't do that. Instead, you have belts going underground, which is an entirely different type of mechanic. Oh. I think I need to drop the height faster. I'm running out of space. Okay, in theory, lofting it that high was probably not a good idea. Oh. That's why it's cutting directly through the top of the assemblers. Good old depth perception. There we go. Not the most feng shui, but that's alright. Okay, once these finish building, we'll have our supply of ingots. We set up assemblers to make circuit boards, and then we're going to run these off to the left side. And we'll have this join up with the other one. Have them feeding directly parallel. This is what we've been working towards. And then I'll have to start setting up the matrix facilities. Alright. These ones will pull from these two. Spit out here. And we copy down. And we'll do 6 for now. It should be fine. Now for the science research site. This is the way I did it on my other save, and it worked decently well, so we'll see how it holds up here. I basically set up one big site for the research, and then for the things constructing the respective color cubes, I had them all feeding that main site, not necessarily from directly next to it. So let me illustrate what I'm talking about here. I think it's this one. Let me have this thing build, and then I'm going to probably need to tweak some things, especially with the splitters versus regular crates and sorters. This is a bit older of a blueprint. TFG says it's fine. Remember about going north. Yeah, we're kind of running out of space here, but I think it'll be all right for this particular set of buildings. I think I want to wrap these around and go sideways for the manufacturing of the cubes, since they're going to feed in the site here. Oh, is it right next to a grid change? Okay, yeah. In that case, I guess I can put these, because everything is going to be feeding this site, so it doesn't need to be necessarily off to the side. I could put it more close to the middle, I suppose. All right. Oh, it's a waste of energy. So like right here, because I think I have enough clearance. I might have to redo this belt and just loft the whole thing. But I guess I can go right in the middle. Like this. In fact, if I go here, I could stack if I need to. Then I don't have to worry about the height clearance. So this is going to be the actual research. And each of these crates here are meant to be the entry points for the actual cubes, if I remember correctly. I might have to change this slightly, because I repurposed this from the original blueprint. Because right now it's set to have all the stuff for blue, and then it goes directly into research on this side. I changed this so that all of the blue cubes are coming in, and these are two columns of research, and they're feeding from the sides, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna have to tweak that slightly, but basically at the end you have one side feeding one color, the other side feeding the second color, third side feeding the third color, and the fourth side feeding the fourth color. You just have to produce all of the color cubes elsewhere and pipe them here. That's the way I did it on my last save, and it seemed to work okay. But we're gonna have to basically pull out all of the sorters and change it. I probably could have just constructed it by hand and not really saved myself much time, but it's fine. At least till we get to the fifth color. That should be functional. Oh, we need more view. So I'm gonna gut all of the sorters that are crossing and leave those like that in the middle. And just copy the recipe for research. And then we'll pull these out. So just for overflow, so that the science just keeps stacking up till we need it, it makes the most sense to go splitters as the overflow. Yeah. That is incredibly handy. That might be the most important thing that someone has taught me since I started playing this game. So likewise, it doesn't need to be set up right now, but we would do the same thing over here. And this runs this way for the fourth color when we eventually get there. Now for manufacturing, I guess we go parallel and just have it run all the way over here. I'll set up the entry points now. Hey, Lava King's here. Lava King says, "Hey Raku, good news, I'm no longer filled with poison. So the procedure was a success." That's good. I hope you're feeling better, Lava King. Sounds like a not very pleasant experience, but hopefully you're feeling better. I don't know if you were here last time, but in case you weren't, we were playing Dyson Sphere Program, a game about engineering and automation. I call it OCD Simulator. But it is very interesting to kind of talk through. Let's go ahead and save. Lava King asks, "Did you hear about Microsoft wanting to put Game Pass on all consoles, PC, and mobile?" I had not heard that. I don't use Game Pass, but I imagine that's a good thing, right? Let's wrap this directly around. I know a bunch of people who do take advantage of Game Pass. I think it's a good service. I just don't use it. Okay, we're running these this way. And we'll have our science producing facilities run right below to pull the ingredients off and run them down into the source directly below. I guess I'll have them run here. Eventually I need to be careful not to crisscross too much, but I guess we'll just have them run here for now since it's the closest one. So here's a question for TFG. For science research, does it follow the same sort of belt capacity when you're looking at the Mark 1s? Should I do 6 or should I do like 3 and stack them? At what point does it lose efficiency to have a bunch of these at once? Oh, that one's not gonna clear the height. Oh, my question was when I'm setting up the cube producing facilities here, should I do 6 of them and stack them, or should I do 3 and stack them? Like, do they consume things at the same rate as all these other ones when it comes to the Mark 1s? Will it get outpaced if I go more than six production sites? Here, move everything over. Might not even have room. Might be moot. Okay. They consume as much as the stack needs as long as the sorter can keep up. I guess I'll do 3 and 3. And we'll just see if it works. If it runs into any problems. We're going to need to get Mark II sorters soon. And if it doesn't keep up, I'll just delete them. Should probably just copy the thing I said I should be doing all the time. Yeah, for what TFG is saying, that's kind of why I was asking. Maybe I'll do 3 and then stack them as high as I can. So what that would look like would be 9. 3 stacks of 3. Let's copy them down. And we'll see if the production can keep up. Yeah, stacking is overall lower cycle time, right? Isn't that the point of stacking, whether it's research or production? So what that means is if we do this, can I not copy the whole stack? Oh, does it not work? Oh, I gotta restack them. Okay. Oh, it's more space saving. Okay. I've always stacked them. Eventually, you unlock stacking upgrades for all of your tech that can stack, and you can have these things like 12 high. Okay. And as we can see, now we are actively producing blue cubes, which is needed to research things in the tech tree. We'll pipe that in to this one over here. It's going to start feeding everything to the research sites, and the overflow will stack up in here. Oh, I just realized I kind of answered my own stupid question. I can't go past here because we're out of coil. So it's gonna be 9. Unless I move the belt and move more to the right, which I guess I could do if I need to. Okay. So fully automated blue cubes. That's good. Our next goal, in fact, we should start researching stuff. Our next goal is going to be getting energy matrices, red science, red research. We need graphite and hydrogen, hence my question about hydrogen earlier. So I'm going to assume until we can get X-ray cracking, I'm just going to need to basically split off my sources from oil refinement, because it'll give us 2 components, one of which we need, the second we'll need later. And just do that until I can get the ability to unlock the X-ray cracking, which gives me that more automated cyclical system that I showed off. But in the meantime, since we've got blue science up and running, we'll queue everything that needs it. Proliferators, that's going to be fun. I'm going to cancel solar. I really don't use solar that much. I tend to go thermal and then nuclear. TFG says, to be honest, all you need to start is like 2 refineries. Build red with that to get X-ray. Is there any... I guess that's true. There's not a lot I immediately need that requires those components. Do I even have oil? I thought I did. Oh yeah, it's down there. Okay. Okay. Let us prepare to start harvesting oil. For that, we're going to need oil extractor and a refinery. Neither of which is part of this mall layout. That's the third part. I do have a blueprint that goes with these other ones. I just didn't throw it down because I don't have steel totally automated. This needs steel and glass. It's not fully labeled, which is really annoying. I have to do it by hand. I think steel, glass, iron, and maybe circuits or coils. But this setup basically gives us our last chunk of essential buildings for the mall. I guess I can put it here. It looks like it'll fit. It's just going to be kind of a pain in the rear to route stuff directly to this site. Hopefully I don't have to flip it around. In the meantime, I guess I can craft these refineries by hand. This setup basically gives me that. It also gives me, oh, I think I put it around backwards. Oh well. Yep, I think it's backwards if I want to connect it to the different things up here. Alright. Or I could put it somewhere else. I don't know. I'll just delete it for now. I should save a copy of that and update the markers so I know what needs to go where. Okay, I'll worry about that in a minute. So for oil production, we need these crude oil seep sites. And building we need here is an extractor. This thing, once powered, will start pulling the oil up out of the ground and packaging it into a convenient little parcel like everything else for us to run to our respective production sites. I think I'll just run my refineries this way. I just need to make some. If we kind of zoom out a little bit, we'll do it from the map view. You can see how our original starting area, which was roughly around here when we first started on the last stream, and now you can see zooming out, our production site has grown pretty significantly. We're taking up the majority of the main continent on this planet. And eventually we'll need to start branching out even more. and making progress until we eventually leave the planet. And then that's maybe the tail end of the early game when you start going interplanetary. Plasma exciters. It's a good thing I put these, was it prisms? What are these called? Prisms. Yeah, it's a good thing I set those up over there. DFG says, for long-term hydrogen, look to the orbital collector. You probably know that. Yep. I tell you, the system that I was doing my main builds on the other save file I showed off last time was very far away from a system with a hydrogen star or gas giant. So to that end, when we eventually leave and look for a permanent place to build our main production site, I'm going to look for one that has a star, gas giant in the system and a good spread of resources. So what I ended up doing on my other file, and folks will see this way later when we get there, I basically set up the orbital collectors on 2 different hydrogen stars and just had my vessels going back and forth. So if you look at the star map, you just see this train of intergalactic logistics ships funneling hydrogen from stars that are dozens of light years away. They're very far away from the main base. But once you research warp speed tech, you can have things so far away and they'll use the warp fuel to jump across planetary systems and use it to reach faraway locations. It's really cool to see and set up. But we are not there yet. Interstellar, not intergalactic. Star systems. There's interplanetary and interstellar, right? That's not synonymous. I'm not an astronomer or a rocket scientist. Let's see. We need coils. Give me coils. Planet versus star, right? Interplanetary is planets going between planets. Interstellar would be going between star systems, right? Okay, let's grab some more of that. GFG asks, have you seen the Milky Way map on this game? You're talking about that view that shows you the entire spread of the star systems that are generated based on your, I guess, generation seed? You talking about that? Yeah, I don't think I might have shown that off. I think I did at the very beginning when we first started. But are you talking about this view here where it shows you the entire generation of stars? You're talking about the one that's further out than that. Oh yeah, I've seen this. I haven't shown this one off. We'll take a look at it. I found this by accident on my last save. This is generated from all the player data of everyone who's playing Dyson Sphere Program, right? That's how this works. That's really neat. It shows you total number of Dyson spheres, power generated, number of solar sails. It's a lot of solar sails. Now, This is this is tied to my account right over here, but is this just this save or is this my other one? And if so, what's down here? Probably the other one. Okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's probably, yeah, it's probably my other main save. But yeah, it's kind of a cool way to aggregate all of the data and show everyone in the player base and what they're doing. I'm really kind of curious to see once they introduce the PvE element if this starts fluctuating in real time and showing, people getting their entire setups nuked. Like, I wonder if the attacking forces will tear down your spheres. Very cool. TFG says might even see me in there somewhere, but don't bother looking. Yeah, it looks like a lot of data, a lot of stuff in there. Keep telling a good friend of mine, the one who got me into Factorio, which got me into factory automation sim type games. I keep telling him he needs to play this because it's really cool. He hasn't taken the plunge yet. That guy has spent like, I think, close to 5 digits worth of hours in Factorio. A lot of time. So I learned all the stuff I knew in that game from him. GFG said try out the multiplayer mod with him. That's a good idea. I'll have to look into that. You mentioned that last time that there's a multiplayer mod for this game. I'll go research that, and then maybe if I have some downtime, I'll see if I can convince him to do that. Since we were doing a multiplayer Factorio game before, it's been ages, but that could be an interesting way to get someone else into the wide world of DSP, specifically Dyson Sphere Program. I need to be careful. I'm not trying to get people in a dark side, Phil. That guy doesn't deserve attention. All right, refineries. So these buildings take the raw crude oil and they refine them into byproducts that you can use for other parts of the tech tree and other components that you need to craft stuff. So here's a question. Now that I've kind of learned a bit more about splitters, what I used to do on my saves is I would run 2 belts on the output side and have the refineries spit out with the sorters the respective byproducts on each belt. In theory, would it be more efficient to have one output belt and then use a splitter to separate the 2 components, or does it not matter? So like to illustrate, our only option is plasma refining, which is going to spit out 2 different things. It's going to spit out refined oil and hydrogen. Does it spit them out at a certain ratio, or is it 1 to 1? it's 2 to 1. Okay, 2 refined to 1 hydrogen. What I was thinking was just having the splitter run these to tanks, and then route the tanks to wherever I need them for now. It's what I did in my original save. Maybe we build more of the refined tanks since that one is outputting more. Let's see. Oil production is easily the part of the game I feel like I suck the most at in the early game. So let's see, 2 outputs. Go 1 here. And we go this one, filter, hydrogen, this one, filter. Oh, I think it automatically defaults to the other. Yeah, okay, we're good. I think. You have to set the priority differently. I haven't done this in a minute. Oh, okay. Okay, so it's doing that because I don't have it set to empty this belt out, so it's just stopped. I got it. We need to set tanks up. Because what I was going to do is have the hydrogen we know we're going to need immediately filter off to a site that we need. And then the refine will stack up and then eventually divert that to where it needs to go. All right. Yeah. And since I assume we're not going to be running out of hydrogen since it's always high demand, if I need to, I can just put another stack or 2 of the storage for refined and overflow it. Yeah, TFG's right. You need refined oil for X-ray cracking, but once we have that unlocked, I'm scrapping this setup and I'm going to do the kind of rotating cyclical thing since it'll give us graphite as well, which we're going to need. Okay. Let this go for now. I don't think it's going to accumulate a ton. But for our research... I should have probably built that facing the other direction. The output's going to need to go to the right. And that means I got to wrap it all the way around. Oh well. I'll fix it later. TFG says, alright bud, gotta go. Have a great night. Alright TFG, thanks again for hanging out with us and again teaching me more about Dyson Sphere Program. I do appreciate it. I'm always willing to learn new things when it comes to stuff. So have a good night and I will catch you later. Okay, we've got oil production started. That's good. So if we take a look at our tech tree here, energy matrices require graphite, which are these things here, energetic graphite, and hydrogen. So what we need to produce some graphite, which is why I left these clusters of coal around undisturbed, because graphite comes from coal, or it can be refined using the refineries as well in a different ratio. But we don't have that unlocked, right? That's down here. Yep, we need red cubes before we can get this. This is what TFG and I were talking about, X-ray cracking. This gives you a better option to produce hydrogen, but we can't do it until we get the red cubes. So to that end, I'm going to set up mining facilities here around this cluster, and we're going to start crafting the energetic graphite this way. And then I think I'm just going to have to pipe hydrogen all the way around. It's going to look god-awful, but that's okay. And we'll run power from here. Keep an eye on our consumption. I'd say once we get past 50% consumption, we'll need to build out another site, probably right here with this cluster of thermal plants, and use that to get more power. And I guess we'll run, keeping in mind we want to run east to west. We'll go this way, and then maybe we'll run this one directly underneath it. For energetic graphite, we need smelters, I think. Yep, these are smelted from coal. Now, where we're going to send these, we'll have, I'm going to try at least to put a science production site directly next to it, like right here. Maybe right there. It's going to mirror the blue, or not mirror, it's going to copy the blue, but it's going to be producing the red color cubes we need. And so that should work. It's just getting the hydrogen all the way over here is going to be annoying. I see we have a hydrate and a stretch from Iconic. Oh. Should save while we're at it too. Now our ratio here is 2 to 1. So we'll do sets of 6 again and cut it off. What else needs this? Oh yeah, it's plastics. This is that's something we were talking about earlier as well. We'll be working down the tech tree eventually until we get the need to craft plastics. Not quite there yet. I could see 6. Yeah, I'm just gonna run this down here. And that should get us enough to have 6 up and running. That might be enough. So we'll find out. Now we need to get hydrogen from all the way over here. It's not a lot. What we might need to do... Oh, it's in the way. Might need to set up more refineries to have this stuff running through faster. Because right now it's not really an adequate supply. It's going to get us a lot of the science. It's going to run out. So to that end... Oh. Actually, we'll do it this way. Let's just make a land bridge. I'm going to try and remember, like we learned today from TFG, that building horizontally makes things a little bit easier. So the grid lines don't screw up your build. So we will try and be diligent in doing that. And we're basically going to duplicate our setup here. And maybe we'll even be able to run it even further. Need to make more refineries first. But we're basically boosting our production line here, which is going to result in us continuing to generate more of the red, or brown rather, refined oil that we're not actively using, but that's okay. Real thing we need here is hydrogen. And we need circuit boards. Maybe what I can do for the next session is reconfigure the base here and get the third portion of the mall set up, since it's got buildings that I'm going to be actively using. For now, it's okay, but that would be handy just to have a more efficient setup. Oh, running low on fuel. Another thing to be mindful of when you're flying around building and setting stuff up is checking in your fuel supply every once in a while, because if you run out, you're going to be kind of stuck. Your mech basically slows to a snail's pace, and you have to go and find a fuel source in order to gas back up. Otherwise, you just crawl along. It's a little bit annoying. Okay, got one more, and we're crafting more of these refineries. So I'm going to keep building the land bridge out this way. Oop. Wrong way. Alright, I got a whole stack of those now. Because these buildings are a little wider, I've found you can fit 2 in a row before you have to drop a power pole and power them. So usually my refinery lines are just like a big L or one horizontal line moving in one direction. In fact, let's be smarter. Let's copy stuff instead and save some clicks. And also be mindful of our power consumption. These things have a bit of a draw. Just need to make sure we're not maxing out our power grid. Alright, with that, we now have a slightly faster supply of hydrogen. I think I'll make do with this, and then when we get the cracking tech in order to refine stuff, it'll be a lot more efficient than this. So now we got to run this all the way over the other side where our production facility for red cubes is going to be at. And I think the best way to do that is to we're going to have to go kind of wrap around, and then we're going to go over. We're going to loft this belt just like we did with the other one. We're just going to go right over the top. Oh, if we can clear it. Can I go between? Not quite. Trying to go between the facilities here, and I think our clearance is just slightly too low. Oh, I could loop it. This is going to look really bad, but kind of don't have a choice. Yep, there we go. And these refineries, or extractors, these are pretty tall. We need to go even higher. It's gonna look bad, but that's alright. Functional, not elegant. We do functional for now, we do elegant later. Iconic says functioning is good. It's kind of interesting, and we'll see this as we play through this particular game. When you're just starting out in the beginning and your options of what you can build and your tools are rather limited, you get into a situation like we see here where you're basically running like these crisscrossing highways of belts all over. Your stuff is all positioned in weird spots, so your base layout's not that optimum. Then once you unlock the ability to get drones to traffic stuff around, like I was saying before, then a lot of these problems just go away, because you can have things all over the map, and then rather than have to run belts from each physical location, you can just have your robots fly stuff to and from. It's like Amazon. And it makes the logistics capability a lot more flexible. And we will get there eventually. Oh, I'm out of belts. I am out of belts. We'll get there eventually. Like I was saying, I was hoping we could get off world today, and depending on how much we can get with the red cubes, we'll see. Might not be able to get to another planet and start building, but we shall see. Since I started earlier, I've got a bit of time, so we don't have to jump off quite yet. I need to empty out my inventory. There's a lot of garbage cluttering everything up. Okay, so what we need to do is take this belt, drop it down, and sync it up to over here, where our graphite is being manufactured. Actually, let's leave some room. We might need to set up more mining on that side of coal. Okay, so we need to extend everything out here, and now we're going to take our components and we're going to craft the next color of research, the next cube. And we're going to do it exactly like we did here. Do 2 stacks of, or 3 stacks of 3. And our output is going to loop around here and run into the second input site for our main research facility. And we'll set it to produce red. We need to run adequate power to both sites. That big web there is kind of like our progress achievement list. It tells us as we get through each tier of tech what we've accomplished as it relates to the overall task of creating a Dyson Sphere. Okay, and with that, we've got our intake producing red cubes, and they're being pulled into this particular stack, the same as the blue. They're headed to the same destination, and I need to fix that. We want these feeding all the way down. Like so. And I guess we'll see how long that hydrogen supply keeps up. My guess is it's eventually going to run out because we're not accumulating hydrogen super quickly. But we have a little bit of a surplus because we had it running and filling up the tanks. So it's probably close to even. Maybe it's depleting a little bit. Because as it feeds in, it's being siphoned out and being transported all the way across the rails on the belts over here. So for our immediate goal, it's what we were talking about earlier, we want X-ray cracking. That is going to allow us to start building towards our next goal of better hydrogen. And then we're going to need this up here too. High efficiency logistics gets us our Mark II belts and our Mark III sorters, which will not come into play probably till a little bit later. Oh, that requires maglev. So we got to go down here. I will do it in order. Let's do this one first. Then we'll do the logistics. Then we'll do cracking. And we've got a pretty good surplus of blue. We should be able to get our stacking upgrade, which will allow us to add another tier of boxes to our storage, which means our overflow will be able to accumulate stuff faster as well, which is handy. Okay. So now it's a bit of a waiting game while we get these upgrades. So let's see what we can craft in the meantime. Maybe get some more foundation. Because looking at our site, it's already getting crowded again. I'm just making sure we're not missing input here. Kind of neat graphical effect if you kind of zoom in close here on the Matrix Labs. As they're doing the research, you can see the colors of the cubes that are basically powering the research. You can see a red and a blue. Eventually we'll get 2 more colors, 3 more colors of the main sciences. But it's a neat effect. You can see them swirling around in there. Another thing, this just occurred to me. I don't want to change my layout here. One thing I'm going to need to fix, I believe, is the ability to have the science being routed to both sides here. Because in order for it to research, you need all of the relevant colors that's required for the upgrade. So having this split like this for the middle ones, it's fine. The science color will go where it needs to go. But this side isn't getting any blue. So I'm going to have to think about that. I might have to add... I might have to add another belt on each side. I guess I could do that now that I think about it. All I have to do is run a sorter in the middle to pull from red to here. Maybe this is why they had it set up this way. I wasn't thinking about long term. And then eventually we're going to have to run another one from this new color, which we'll get at some point, over to the other side, which I guess we can do now. It's got to go from this one to here. Will it reach? Maybe it won't reach. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So that means both columns are getting the middle belts. And then we might have to do the same thing here when we get this color, is run another line on the other side so it can get it. So to do that, on blue, we go up here, run across, and then these are going to pull blue into the left side, and it's going to make our research faster. It'll make it faster, but the demand for red cubes is going to go up considerably, I think. I think we'll need to add more production. Yeah. Question is, do we have enough hydrogen to do that? I guess we are going to find out. Just need to extend everything out for this fourth one. Run power. How are we doing on power now? Okay, we need to set up another power site, or we're going to run out of energy. All right, so now we've got a bit more that we've got to work with here. And we did get our upgrade for X-ray cracking. That's good. We also got our improved logistics. We don't have a means to automate electromagnetic turbines yet. But we can create them by hand by taking the motors and combining them with coils. So I'll be able to get the next level of belts. What I might do in between now and the next session... Oh, I didn't see Iconic had to take off. If you're still here, Iconic. But if you are, have a good evening, and thanks for hanging out. I might have to do some optimization on some of the facilities. Maybe I'll do that for next time, and then we'll kind of see what happens there. Because if I can set up a good hydrogen producing site, I could double this line of red cubes to make more, since I think they're going to be in higher demand. But in the meantime, we need to set up some more thermal power plants, which we can do here. Or another option that I didn't think about, a fuel source that burns longer than coal is the energetic graphite stuff we've got funneling into our cubes. We could set up a graphite production site and then feed that into a different area with the thermal plants, and they'll be more efficient. That might be the best way to handle the power crisis. So if we did that... Oh, there's oil here too. Oh, I'm out of soil piles. Okay. I think we're going to need to do a bit of retooling on the base. But between now and the next time I stream this, we should be able to align the resources to have some better power output, and then also try and keep producing upgrades for our tech tree. In fact, while I'm doing all this, this is just going to stack up overflow anyway. So let's see if we can get some upgrades for our mech. Definitely need max energy. Movement, that's nice. Inventory. Drones. We're stacking. Increased stacking. It's going to take a long time to get all these upgrades. But I can also start stockpiling some quicker belts, maybe some faster sorters. I could probably optimize a good chunk of our setup here. That's going to allow us to move through this stage of the early game and start getting towards interplanetary travel. Because that, if we look at the upgrades, is down here. Mecha sail. This allows us to get off planet and go interplanetary. Interstellar is a ways off. We're not going to get that until we get the next color of science or research, which is yellow. Yellow or purple, depending on which route we go. But we're definitely making progress. I think since it'll take me some time to do a little bit of fine-tuning and tweaking things on the base rather than try and work through that now. I'll do some of that off stream, and then next time we'll be able to move through the next phase a lot faster, I think. Yeah, I'll do one final save since that upgrade just finished. And I think we will call that good for today. These sessions tend to go by relatively quickly just because of how involved a lot of the stuff in Dyson Sphere Program can be. And it definitely feels like I talk a lot more since there's so much to discuss. But it's a really fun game to play through, and I like talking through a lot of this stuff with all of you folks on stream. So let me see who is online to raid. Wazi is still online. She has been streaming for a long time, And she did raid us last time, so let's go see. She's doing Placid Plastic Duct Simulator with the crew, it looks like. So we can go over there and say what's up. Spread the good vibes. So let's go ahead and we'll meet this. And go to outro. There it goes. And so that'll do it for today. I had mentioned potentially doing a makeup stream for Blasphemous yesterday, but I don't know if I'm going to have time this weekend. I got some stuff going on. The Beatbox Jam stream for Sunday is still on, though. I'm going to try and start that one a little earlier if I can get online before our scheduled time. But it'll be in the afternoon on Sunday. So hopefully I will see you folks there. In the meantime, thanks again for hanging out. Now let us go see what the Toxic Cure crew is doing.